what would someone like myself who's a remote worker, what am I protecting against? What are the threats out there? What are the things that I should be aware of?
Specifically for remote workers, there's a couple of ones that are more relevant to you than when we talk more broader for someone who's sitting inside of a corporate network. As a remote worker, you usually or probably don't have a really good firewall on your home network. You probably have the default settings that came with your router from Comcast or AT&T or whatever provider you use. Chances are you've never logged into it to check those firewall settings, or maybe don't even know how. So the network is one of the first vulnerability points. What you want to consider is that in a home setting, you have more than just laptops and more than just professionals. You have, significant others, maybe teenage children who are on gaming sites, social media sites, other members of the household who haven't had any security training. So it's very easy for them to accidentally click on something that they shouldn't. Maybe it's even an advertisement, have their machine become infected and have the network be the point of transit for that infection to move from their computer or device to yours. The second thing to consider is you have a lot of what we would call Internet of Things or IoT devices on a typical home network. So your camera doorbell, your smart thermometer, your smart TV, the list goes on. Those devices tend to be less sophisticated. There's no equivalent of antivirus software that you as a consumer can buy and install to protect those devices. And if you're like most who don't check for firmware updates on your security cameras very often, if ever, chances are there can be a security vulnerability that is discovered, is patched by the manufacturer, but you as a consumer never knew about it, never knew what to do. And so those vulnerable devices become entry points again to your home network. So the network is incredibly important from a remote worker standpoint. Then kind of the second layer of defense, if you will, is going to be the device itself. So having a really good anti-malware suite on your device will help ensure that any incoming intrusions or attempts to run malicious software should get detected and blocked and quarantined. And then you have the device and the settings on it itself. So things like password protecting all of your devices so that, some other family member doesn't come in and access work data that maybe they shouldn't. Not installing any superfluous software on the machine that you use for work. If you can afford it, I really do recommend a separate machine for work versus personal activities, internet shopping, gaming, what have you. Again, you're going to just minimize the chance that a browser extension, a download, a picture that you view online on a website is going to be the source of something malicious for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those things are very important, because as you were talking, I was thinking, yeah, I've worked remote for probably 7 years, long before our most recent pandemic, and I use the same laptop for everything. But if I'm visiting family members, what is their network that I'm connected to? If I go to a Starbucks, what network am I connecting to there? And what are the security risks that you can run into? And so those are things that you need to think about. I remember when we went remote a number of years ago, even for a short period of time, everybody was, well, I'm going to go to Starbucks and work. And I'm thinking from an IT side, it's like, oh no.
Use your VPN.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Use those security things, and people are you try to connect. You go, if you're a road warrior, you're at hotels very frequently. During the last several months, I have worked at a number of different locations, family locations, for various things. For when I go to visit my parents who have are elderly and having some challenges, I've been in their home, and they are definitely not advanced users of technology. I think it was I can remember when I finally convinced them to get off their analog connection for broadband and move to broadband, and then the conversations that we have about that. And then other times I'm at other family members, and so those are things that I do look at, and my device is very secure. The other challenge you have, if you do have those teenagers in your home, I went through and reconfigured my network recently and found that I had over 400 devices coming in through my systems. And that was because I had the kids, oh, my friend's here and they need the internet on their phone because they don't have the data, whatever. And they're giving out not the guest password, but the internal password for family, And
Yep.
so it's like you really have to watch those types of things, because the more open that you make that, the riskier things can become, and the easier chance that someone has to come in and broach that. I saw at one point, I was talking with my neighbor who's very, very security focused, and he's made comment where others have tried to piggyback off of, your cable or whatever it might be, because you've got this wireless mesh network all set up, and you watch those types of things, and so yeah. Or the most simple thing is you have your network set up and you're using the default password that comes on the back of your router from Comcast, Cox, whoever it might be, and you don't change that at all. You need to log in and check some of those things and change it, and make sure that they are good, long, secure passwords, and don't write them all down and put them as a sticky note on next to your monitor.
Someone who's interested in learning more about networking security, cybersecurity, web security, where can they start with CIW?
That's a very good question. There's a number of places that you can start. One is, if you're just beginning into this, you may have been using computers forever, but you're not necessarily a producer of the technology and web technologies and that type of thing. So I would start, if you're new to technology, in the sense that you want to be more proactive in securing yourself, your systems, and your employer's information, start with Internet Business Associate. That's the entry level really for our adult learners that are going through there. That'll talk about emails and personal information management, that type of thing, as well as how to use technology in a business setting, as opposed to a consumer type of setting of, I'm just surfing the net and buying things online, that type of thing. The next step would be, if you're a little bit beyond that, would be going to a Network Technology Associate. That's going to talk more about the hardware and the introduction into what is security overall. And then if you're after that point, then we have a Web Security Associate, which really talks about how do you secure your business systems in a kind of a cloud environment, in a web area. So how do you secure your websites and the security that you need to have there, and what do you need to do with the hardware that hosts those sites? And those would be the initial things that I would do if you wanted to learn more.
Cathy, you shared a lot. We really appreciate your time, your energy, your input. And I want to just give an opportunity for anybody who is looking for support, small business or large business that is looking for more of that data, cloud security. Cathy, how do they get a hold of you, and how can they learn more from you?
Yeah, so the easiest way to find me is on LinkedIn. So I've got over here, you can see my hand. That's my LinkedIn short link. And then right above that is actually, if you go to eSilo.com/meet_Cathy, you can get right on my calendar. So if you have a question, about anything security related or data protection related, feel free to grab a 15-minute slot, and I'd be happy to have a chat with you.
Awesome. Well, Todd, Cathy, thank you so much for the discussion today, the conversation on our first Tech Talk Tuesday here at CIW. We hope this has been valuable for everyone out there, and we can't wait to provide some more conversations for you all. But we'll say bye for now. So Todd, Cathy, thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thanks so much.
Eddie, you too.